Gabriela.
And I'm Beatriz.
Today, our journalism club will finally interview a special guest. Guess who?
He was born in New Orleans and raised outside Washington, D.C., and he attended the College of William and Mary.
He also taught overseas for 19 years in Campinas, São Paulo, and Belgium.
He was head of middle school and assistant head of school at Green Acres School in Maryland.
Married to a beautiful Brazilian woman and father of 3 children, since August of 2022, he has been running the school.
And here he is, Mr. Peter Klam, our superintendent.
Hey, thank you.
Welcome to our PodEAR, Mr. Peter Klam.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
How are you, Mr. Prediclin?
I'm doing well.
That's
That's
good.
great. As a new superintendent at EAR, you must oversee several essential tasks, including meeting a new community, managing a new construction, hiring staff, managing budgets, monitoring student success, and developing a vision for Cognia's 5-year review. Given such a challenging and multifaceted position, what are your thoughts about our school after being at EAR for almost a year?
Well, I love EAR. It's been a lot of fun. I think that the thing I guess stands out the most to me is the community and the sense of community, the people. I've really enjoyed getting to know the teachers and starting to get to know the students a little bit, meeting parents. So I've really enjoyed that part of it.
That's really nice.
After Cognia's 5-year visit review, what was the team's feedback? Did we pass? What does our school need to improve?
Well, they don't give us feedback right away. It takes them about a month. So they gave us a little bit of preliminary ideas about what the feedback's going to be, about what the report will be.
Okay.
And then in 30 to 45 days, they're going to send us the report. So that's when we'll find out. That's when we'll find out that we are accredited, hopefully. I am pretty confident. It was a very positive visit. They were super positive. They loved the school. They loved the people. They went and visited 30 different classes and did evaluations of those classes, and they really liked what they saw. So I think we're in really good shape. In terms of things to improve, they're going to talk to us about a couple of things. They want to make sure that we're doing a good job of making data-driven decisions, particularly about professional development, and that we're doing a good job of getting our teachers opportunities to learn and grow as professionals. They want us to take our mission statement and to really put it more in the forefront of some of the work we're doing and some of the things that we're talking about. Like, they want students to know our mission, they want parents to know our mission, and they want that to be more present in kind of like what we're doing and what we're talking about at school. And they had another thing, but I don't remember what it was.
It's okay.
Fine. The news media building is almost ready. So what should we expect from it? Please tell us more about this new media center, and is it going to be ready for August?
It's definitely going to be ready for August. They're gonna. The one thing that we're still doing is choosing furniture, but the building itself is going to be ready by the end of this month, and then we have to furnish it. It's going to be great. It's going to be there are a bunch of different spaces in it. The 3 biggest spaces. One is the elementary and ECC library, and we're just looking at some really cool furniture for kids for that one. The second space, that's the second large space, is the secondary library, and that's going to have study areas. It's going to have places where kids can just be comfortable and read. And then the on the top floor, right above those two, is kind of an open space where it's going to be a hangout space for secondary kids during lunch and things. A place where we can have meetings with larger groups. So that's going to be a super nice area as well. Also, photojournalism is going to have a new room there, which is great. We're going to have a maker space, which is going to be super cool, where kids can do things like work with a 3D printer, or maybe a laser cutter, do things like robotics and Lego things, and just a place where you can be creative using the the engineering design process to build and create and imagine. So that's going to be really cool. And then we have some classrooms. The secondary office is going to move over there. A couple of other offices, but it's going to be a really neat space.
I bet it's going to
That's
be amazing.
Yeah.
With final exams approaching, what practical tips can you give for the students?
Sure, I get my number one tip is to start studying early. Like start studying now. Study a little bit every day. If you've got a day that's super busy, no big deal, you can skip it. But what you don't want to do is get to the day or two before and cram. It's not the way memory works. You wind up forgetting a lot of the material. You stay up late, don't get enough sleep the night before, which makes it hard to think and process. Your best bet is to start studying early, to study a little bit at a time. It gives the natural processes of remembering and forgetting things a time to sort of roll through so that you'll remember as much of the information and content as possible.
Okay, amazing. As a senior, what is your message for our senior graduates?
Oh, message for senior graduates.
Yeah.
I think my message for senior graduates would be to take advantage of their time at university or their time after school, because it's a time when you can really explore different things that you can become passionate about, different careers, different hobbies, different activities. Go into university thinking about taking advantage of all of the opportunities that universities have, because the more you find that you're passionate about, the richer your life will be.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now let's get to know our superintendent better. So, what is one of the best things you found here in Recife?
Best things I found in Recife. Let's see. I found a couple of really nice restaurants, place that I like to go. Love running along the waterfront. That's great. That's a beautiful area, so that's nice.
That's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
How has your family adapted? Do you think you guys adapted well?
Yeah, I mean, we've lived in Brazil before. We all speak Portuguese, so that helps. Yeah, I think we've adapted pretty well.
Yeah, your Portuguese is better than mine.
Thanks.
So, what are your favorite hobbies? We heard that you like cooking and running, and can you tell us how this passion began?
Yeah. So, we lived in Brazil, right? We lived in São Paulo, and then we moved to the States. And we moved to, I never really cooked before we moved to the States. So that was 8 years ago. I mean, I would cook little things and maybe work the grill a little bit. But, and so, when we were in São Paulo, we had somebody who could come in and cook for us. And so we, that was easy. And my wife likes to cook. And so she would, every once in a while, she would make a meal. But it was like she never had to cook. Right, you cook when you want to. And then we got to the States, and there's nobody to cook for you. So she was cooking every day, and I was like, oh, she likes to cook, no big deal. So one day she says, it's time for you to start cooking, because she's getting tired of cooking every day for her dinner. So I said, okay, I guess I got to start. So I started learning to cook a few things, and I enjoyed it. And that's kind of how it started. And now I like to cook a lot. I really enjoy it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, why did you decide to become an educator and an administrator?
Well, I guess I decided to become a teacher. That's what I was in, and I sort of backed into it a little bit, right? So I was at college, and I worked for our football team. Really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. And I was like, well, they had this thing that they were going to do at the end of the, I was finishing my fourth year. They had this thing they were going to do at the end of the following football season. I was supposed to have graduated. They were going on this amazing, they were going to this bowl game called the Epson Ivy Bowl in Japan. And I was like, you know what? I want to come back and do that. So I was like, I had to find a way to come back to university for another year. So I was like, hey, I can get my teaching certification, and that's a way to come back. And so I sort of backed into it that way. I mean, I always liked literature. I always like kids. I like to perform. So those things were all kind of natural when it comes to teaching. But I didn't like grow up thinking I'm going to become a teacher someday. That's just how it happened. As far as administration goes, I mean, I think a lot of people go through the same experiences, which is like, I guess for me, and maybe it's not that like that for, I know some people who go into teaching thinking I'm going to become an administrator someday. I never did that. I guess there are two things. Number one is there were some administrators that I had who were terrible, and I was like, man, I can do better than that guy. And then on the other side, there were some administrators I had who were fantastic, and I was like, you know, I really appreciate that person's work. And I also knew that good administrators support teachers and support students in the important work of the school, which is the teaching and learning that's happening. And so I felt like I liked teaching 8th grade, because when you teach 8th grade, you're getting kids ready for high school. So you're doing like all the hard work to get kids ready for high school, and then the high school teachers can have great experiences with them. I feel like it's kind of the same thing. If I'm doing my job, I'm making other people's work more rewarding, better, more effective, and all those things. So I always like that idea of it, and so I think that component of service of servant leadership.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing mindset.
So, our next question is, what is your most embarrassing or funny story?
Ha! Most embarrassing or funny story.
We want to know.
Oh, I have no idea. I don't get. I have a pretty high embarrassment threshold. I remember when I was like 5 years old, 4 or 5. I was in like a little school talent show, and I was, what's it called? Lip syncing, Country Roads by John Denver. And so I was like dressed up like John Denver. I had my little hat on and my little cowboy outfit, because I mean, he was sort of country, right? And then I did the whole song, and I was like, man, I was great. I was singing like, I was awesome. That was so good. And I got off the stage, and I don't remember who said it, but somebody's like, hey, you know, your zipper was down the whole time? And I looked down there, and my zipper was down the whole time. I was like,
Oh my god.
So that was super embarrassing. I don't think anybody else really thought it, but it was embarrassing for me.
Yeah.
But my here, I'm going to tell another story though. I really like. This was when I was a teacher, and I taught. And this was at Graded in São Paulo, and I taught either 11th or 12th grade. We would cycle through because it was an IB school, so you have the same group in 11th grade, and then you take them through 12th grade. And at the end of 12th grade, they have their IB exams. So I had 12th graders at this point, and I always taught 10th grade. And the 10th graders were it was middle of the year. I know. So it's middle of the year, so my 12th graders are doing mock exams, right? Mm-hmm. And my 10th graders innocently, and we're sitting in class, and innocently asked, what's a mock exam? And I said, oh, a mock exam is where you get the IB exam, and you bring it to the class, and you share it around, and then everybody makes fun of it. Because that way, like, they don't get intimidated by the exam that they're taking. So, like, that's what you do, is you sit around and make fun of the exam. And my 10th grader's like, oh, that's really interesting. Wow, I had no idea. So I thought that was really funny. Because, I think half of them walked out of the class that day thinking that a mock exam is where you make fun of an exam.
I love it.
So, if you were not an educator, what else would you be?
That's an interesting question. I always liked being on stage, so I mean, like, could be a performer, but I'd probably wind up being like I don't know, like Dumbo at Disney or something like that. That's hard work. Being an actor, unless you become super famous, is like hard work. So I don't know. I like that. I think something communication-ish. You know, I like that. I like to write, so it could be a writer. Poet. I like to write poetry.
That's amazing. So now we have some ping pong questions.
Okay.
So.
Favorite food?
I have 30 different favorite foods.
Yeah.
No way, man.
Say like
I don't know.
3.
3. So like paella. I'll tell you what I like to cook. I like to
Okay.
cook paella. I like to cook gumbo, which is it's from New Orleans. I like to cook Detroit style pizza. Those are my 3 favorite things to cook right now.
Love it. Favorite movie?
Like, ask me easy questions. Come on. Favorite movie?
Oh.
Yes.
I like about 375 movies is my favorite movie. I mean, I like Pulp Fiction is such a cool movie, but I haven't even watched that in like the last 10 years. I always loved Man for All Seasons. It's a great film. I loved watching Everything Everywhere All at Once. Just watch that. Super cool. That was a really cool, like totally mind-blowingly bizarre. But I don't know. There's so many movies.
Yeah, I love that one too. After I watched it, I was just like, this is the most amazing film.
And then I hadn't watched until like 2 weeks ago, Coda, which was the best picture from the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing. It was so good. I loved that too. But I wouldn't put that in my favorite movies category, but it was really good.
Yeah. Favorite book?
I teach literature. I mean, like, I have a billion favorite books. Favorite book? My goodness. I'll tell you what I like to teach. I love to teach Lord of the Flies. Love to teach To Kill a Mockingbird. Teaching To Kill a Mockingbird is amazing. So those are 2 books I love to teach. Love teaching Deliverance. That was so cool.
That's amazing. Another hard question.
Yeah.
Favorite quote?
Favorite
Quote.
quote.
Yes.
Yeah.
The silence.
I mean, you have to think of different quotes. It goes to 11.
Okay.
It's from This Is Spinal Tap. You have to watch the movie.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, favorite country?
Everyone's putting pressure on me to say Brazil. I don't know. I don't have a favorite. I love Brazil. I've felt at home everywhere I lived. I've lived in Brazil for over 15 years. Of course, I lived in the United States for a long time. Lived in loved Belgium. Belgium's amazing. So, I love all those places.
Favorite song?
Oh boy, favorite song. Okay. Again, like, I have so many favorites. I'd have to say my favorite singer is Jimmy Buffett. I loved him since I was a kid. Well, since I was like a teenager. I don't know if you know Jimmy Buffett, but he sings like these escapist kind of. They call him rock and countrybean because it's a little bit of rock and roll, it's a little bit of country, and it's a little bit of Caribbean style music. But it's like very escapist, and I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And our last ping pong question is favorite school subject? This one should be obvious.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, I love history too, though. But I would have to say English. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so, and that's it, folks. Thank you so much for participating. And we hope you guys enjoyed getting to know Mr. Peter Klam a little better.
Yeah, that was fun. Thank you.
you.